Exercise is a big key to kicking the childhood obesity problem here in New Mexico, as that last segment from the film Big Healthy Life points out. But exactly how to make sure your child is staying active and getting the right amount of exercise can be a big challenge. For more on what families can do together, here's student correspondent Anthony Herrera.
I'm joined today by Dr. Anthony Flegg with UNM's Family and Community Medicine Department. He is also the founder of the Running Medicine program featured at the end of the film, Big Healthy Life. And also with us today is Dr. Susan M. Scott, who is featured in the film. She is also Professor Emerita of UNM Pediatrics. Thank you both for being here today. Dr. Scott, I'll start with you first. Physicians recommend that kids get about 60 minutes of outdoor activities at a time. How can we inspire more children to get outside and be more active?
Well, I think the one of the issues is teaching them lots of different types of activities to do so that they want to go outside and do that. The other is seeing how to hook them up with other friends so that they're outside, not just by themselves, but with others. And even if they can't go outside, there's a variety of things that physical education teaches them that they can actually do in their rooms. And one of the things that physical education teachers do is they ask kids, which of these do you like to do? Mm-hmm. Which are the ones that you'll keep doing when none of us are watching you? So I think there's those type of issues.
That's an interesting one. And Dr. Flegg, your program, Running Medicine, is all about running. What if a child doesn't like to run or they can't run because of physical disabilities or something like that?
I think very similarly, I think of it more as playing and finding each person a place that is comfortable for them. So we have wheelchairs, we have people with canes, we have a lot of people walking who, to your point, simply say, do not make me run, but I do want to start moving, and I want to start moving more. And what's beautiful is when that person 3 months later is now running, maybe when their first goal was to walk for 5 minutes without stopping.
Okay. And the film mentions safety in neighborhoods, like there's not enough sidewalks in some places and everything like that. What can parents do to get their kids outside that maybe there's not a safe place for them to go? What can families do in that case?
That's a good question. We definitely need to put more attention to more walkable, more bikeable, more exercise-friendly spaces that we create in our neighborhoods. And so one answer that I think would be, whether you're a parent or a teacher or a health professional or any other community member, to take an active role in creating more walkable communities. And I guess secondly, that with a little bit of creativity, we have some beautiful parks in New Mexico and right here in the city of Albuquerque that I think people can get to places that are safe to play. Creating cultures where lots of people are there gathering to play together, I think is kind of what we've tried to do, and just taking many different parks, Bullhead Park, Roosevelt Park, and others in the city that you never see people running at, and we've turned them into running playgrounds, as I call them.
That's an interesting concept. I like that. Dr. Scott, same question for you. What can people do if their neighborhood is not safe? I mean, we see a lot of crime issues here in Albuquerque, and a lot of people are worried about the crime waves that are going on. What can people do if they feel like their neighborhood is not safe enough to exercise, and what can they do? Like Dr. Flegg mentioned, going to parks and everything. We have tons of parks here.
Yeah, and just sort of follow up on that. I mean, kids, even when I was little, kids never were supposed to be outside by themselves, regardless of what we say about whether or not the world is actually less safe than it used to be. I'm not sure that I actually know the answer to that question either. With TV and other forms of communication, we know more about what's going on with that. Independent of that, when I was little, I was always outside playing with friends. Now, we actually never used sidewalks. We actually went through people's backyards and everything else like that as proof of what we were going to do. But one of the reasons that I really love Albuquerque when I first came to visit, to interview for a job here, was the parks. The parks just are overwhelmingly cool, and being able to find ways that the kids could get there. Now, with both parents working in a lot of families, It's not necessarily that easy, but are there ways that families in a neighborhood could talk to each other and say, you know, we'll sort of divide up who's going to be with the kids this time and be able to watch them and things like that.
Okay, and you mentioned earlier about physical education in schools, and you know we see those dwindling down a lot within the public school system. What can we as a community do to help inspire our school system, bring back physical education, so we can get that consciousness about health back into our children's minds?
Well, one is to actually have people informed about the unbelievable importance of physical education in the first place. Children do not know how to spontaneously move. Now that sounds ridiculous, but what I did was, when I was growing up, because I was with other children that were many years different than me, I was learning from other children. Nowadays, and my mom said this when she moved here, and I would drive her around Albuquerque and she'd say, where are the kids? And so physical education has become more important than it was even when we were doing it every day when I was in school. So there are several things. One is that children don't know really how to move unless you teach them. And as I said earlier, physical education teachers know how to ask the right questions of children to get them inspired to really want to move, because they could check in with themselves and realize that they are actually feel much better after they do certain kinds of activities. Now, the way to help, though, is to be in contact with your legislators. I work with one of the senators, and we're trying to work on physical education. And it really has become way more important, one, because of excess weight that so many of our young people have. And part of that was that I found, before I went to law school, that there was decreased muscle mass in many young people who have excess weight. So when everybody's criticizing them that they're not moving, and I'd say, I think we need to help them use their muscles the most appropriately and maybe actually help them get more muscle. But the biggest issue really is, just as you said, how many minutes a week should you move? Basically, you should be moving every single day. The other part, and it's certainly in the film, is that if you were to walk for 20 minutes before you take a test, it's been shown you get statistically higher results on a test. Well, why? Because you're getting huge, wonderful blood flow to your brain. And in your hippocampus, which is where your memory is, the hippocampus actually gets bigger when you actually exercise. So the hippocampus also is smaller in young people who have excess weight. So when we're looking at children that have excess weight and they're not doing as well in school, one of them is because they don't have as big a memory center as we would like them to have. But the second part is we know that exercise actually helps make that bigger. I can't think of anything more appropriate, because it'll get bigger and then they can learn better, and that whole generation can then help us be more successful as a society.
All right, well, Dr. Flegg, Dr. Scott, thank you very much for this wonderful conversation.